Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. I'm Fulbright scholar Benjamin Cohen with StopFake's latest dissection of Russian alternate reality. This week's disinformation menu brings you the following. Ukrainian Parliament, every second person a criminal or crazy. UN gives Russia permission to seize Ukraine in 2014. Ukrainians encouraged to snitch on their neighbors. Volyn and Vinnytsia could secede from Ukraine. So let's get to the details. Elise Journal, an obscure Russian site, published a story last week claiming that every other member of the Ukrainian parliament is a criminal, crazy, or a drug addict. StopFake generally does not debunk such obvious and outrageous fakes, but this particular story was viewed more than 15,000 times, shared on Facebook more than 2,000 times, and prominently featured on the official website for Russia's Defense Ministry television channel, Zvezda. The fake focuses on 11 members of Ukraine's parliament, among them Tatiana Chornovol, who the story claims is a patient in a psychiatric institute. In a blog on the Ukrainska Pravda news site, Chornovol points out the factual errors in the claim and sets the record straight. Ukrainian parliamentary speaker Andriy Paruby is called mentally unstable based on a dubious 2014 publication in Commentator. Among the deputies that Elise Journal calls criminals are former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko and current Attorney General Yuri Lutsenko, who were imprisoned during the tenure of ousted Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych for abuse of power, a move universally considered to be political. This week, Russian media site Polit Online announced that the United Nations, responding to a 2014 request by former President Viktor Yanukovych calling for Russian troops to enter Ukraine, gave Russia permission to seize Ukraine. The source for this story is a Facebook post by Ukraine's Attorney General Yuri Lutsenko, in which he informs that Ukraine's United Nations office received official copies of Yanukovych's 2014 letter asking Russia to send troops to Ukraine, as well as related documents from the Russian Federation presented to the UN in support of Yanukovych's request. Lutsenko's post includes copies of the letters. UN members have the right to distribute documents to the General Assembly and the Security Council. The UN Secretariat distributes such documents after they've been assigned registration numbers for archiving records. Dissemination of such documents is the normal order of business in the UN. In no way is it a United Nations stamp of approval or permission for one country to seize or capture another, as Polit Online claims. The Yanukovych letter in question is dated March 1, 2014. Yanukovych fled Ukraine for Russia on February 22, 2014. On that day, Ukraine's parliament voted to remove him from office and approved new presidential elections to be held May 25, 2014. Scores of Russian and pro-Russian publications in Ukraine disseminated news stories this week with such menacing headlines as Ukrainian Realities, Prison for Separatism, Enemies of the People's Confiscated Property to be rewarded to snitches, Separatism to be punished with prison. The story was written by Olga Talova, whose byline often appears in many separatist publications. Talova claims that Ukraine has lost the war with Russia, and Russian speakers in Ukraine are now considered separatists and can be criminally charged. Informants who turn them into the authorities will receive 10% of their confiscated property. Talova claims that Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko hinted about Ukraine losing the war with Russia in his New Year's address. There is absolutely no hint or implication of any such defeat in the president's holiday address, which can be viewed on YouTube and other websites. As for rooting out separatists, the basis for Talova's claim is an internet petition registered on President Poroshenko's site on January 12th by a Serhiy Kuryny, who has gathered all of 73 signatures. Kuryny's petition proposes drafting a law on criminal responsibility for separatism and developing a system of notification and possible rewards for exposing separatism. There is no mention of any concrete punishment or confiscation of any property. Anyone can register a petition or appeal on the presidential site. If the petition gathers 25,000 supporters, the president is obliged to respond, but even a presidential response does not guarantee any legislative change. Russian media's latest version of alleged regional separatism in Ukraine claims that Volyn, a northwestern region, and Vinnytsia, Prime Minister Volodymyr Groysman's hometown, want to secede from Ukraine. This outrageous claim is based on a sentence uttered by Anatoly Vinohrodsky, the commander of the Donbas battalion that Russian media took completely out of context to produce a fake story. During a January 16th press conference held by volunteer battalion commanders who initiated a trade blockade of the war zone in an effort to force the exchange of captured soldiers, Vinohrodsky questioned the need for granting Ukraine's eastern occupied territory special status. To illustrate his position, he raised the question of possible discontent in other regions, such as Volyn or Vinnytsia, whose taxes are used to pay tariffs in the war zone. As a result, they also could demand special status, he pointed out. Vinohrodsky did not mention once any region seceding or demanding autonomy from Kyiv. That's it for this week. Beware of fakes, be vigilant, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, send it to us for a truth autopsy. Remember, consuming fake news is not only bad for your health and your brain, it's bad for the psychological climate of society, so don't do it. I'm Benjamin Cohen, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.